Hi, I'm Tony, this is SV Tapatya, and I have been building a Jay Benford designed 31 foot 8 inch sailing dory for the last 6 years. Launched the initial launch last summer, did a couple of months of sea trials, and now for this winter period I'm just doing a couple of upgrades, or a few upgrades, getting ready to do some more significant sailing this year. And you know, the year is moving on, and launch time's approaching. So sort of now the weather's improving a bit, starting to ramp up the preparations. And I've got a lot done this winter. The wind vane, the self-made wind vane, is approaching being finished. I've made a fitting that goes on the deck that the foresail sheet will come onto and will house the stored dinghy. As you'll see this video, one of the jobs I needed to do was to seal the two pumps, one for drinking water, one for salt water, the galley sink. And I've got one of those done now. So progress is very good. I've bought a new tiller pilot, and various other little bits and pieces around the place that are finished now. And now it's all about, as I say, starting to get ready, getting the boat ready for anti-foul and those last pieces before launch. Launch date is booked for the 2nd of April, so it's about 6-7 weeks from now, and it's all starting to get quite exciting. And this year's sailing plans are, and we have to remember that all plans are cast in jello, as my old mate Scott says, but you know, flexible, and we won't be upset if they don't get achieved, but we're going to go out and try. And the plans are to head out, well, first of all, from where we are in the Baltic Sea, to head across to Kiel, the entrance to the Kiel Canal, through that, out into the River Elbe, and then from there, out into the North Sea, down the side of the North Frisian Islands, and into the estuary, the mouth of the River Ems, where we can enter a canal network through Holland, which is in Dutch is called the Standmast route. Well, that's not really the Dutch pronunciation. The mast up route, sometimes called, for the obvious reason that it's okay for sailboats to pass through with the mast up. So we can go through the entire of Holland there, from the very German border of Holland or the Netherlands, all the way down to the Belgian border of the Netherlands. And that, firstly, it's nice. It should be a very enjoyable trip. And secondly, it avoids the shipping that's going in and out the Dutch harbours, Rotterdam and all of that. Brings us out on the Belgian border, as I say, and then we'll go out into the English Channel and down to probably the Brest area of Brittany in France, and somewhere from around there we plan, and when I say we, this will be Hazel and I, we plan to cross the Bay of Biscay to northern Spain, where her boat is currently in dry storage. We'll get her boat in the water, then we'll go around the corner of Finisterre and down that Portuguese coast, and then we'll see how it goes from there. If we end up at the end of this year in the Algarve, southern Portugal, we'll be fine. Possibly go into the Mediterranean. That obviously takes us past all the area where the orca interactions are occurring, and I've been, you know, paying close attention to what's going on there for the best possible routing. So that's the hopes for this year, certainly, and we'll see how it goes. As I say, achieve what we can, but it should be a good year, and should be sailing for most of spring, summer and the autumn. Obviously we'll get down further south, the weather will improve and the season is longer, which is very nice. But back to the boat. I've been up to the boat a couple of times this week, and let's go up there now. Oh, well, up at the boat, got a few jobs to do. As you might hear, I've just lit the stove. You probably hear the fan running. Get a bit of warmth in the old place. It's 5 degrees C in it now, according to the thermometer. So it's okay, bearable, but you know, get a real warm through. She's looking good. All looks well. A couple of things I want to do today. The first one is to fit the freshwater pump that I've sealed at home. want to fit that, and I want to take the saltwater pump off and take that home and do the same to that, give it a seal through, bring it back. And then there's a little patch on the bottom of the keel where it was stood on the wooden block last time she was out of the water, and I couldn't really get to it. So it's a tiny, tiny little bit that I just want to sand off and reseal. So I'll give that a good sand off. I'll put a bit of rust killer stuff on it, just be on the safe side, and then maybe tomorrow I'll come back and get a bit of I think I'm going to go straight for VC tar on there. I'm very impressed with that VC tar. I like the job it does. So the international epoxy tar, epoxy stuff, get some of that on there, build a few coats up, and then coat of vinyl, and then the anti-coal on that. Otherwise, underneath she's looking good. There's a couple of bits where the straps were, where the travel lift lifted her out. They didn't pressure wash because they couldn't get to them. So I'm going to give them a little sand off. I brought the battery sander up. There's just little bits. And unfortunately, I forgot. One of the things I meant to do was to bring one of those trim tab bearing blocks up, and I forgot to bring them. And the boat is about an hour and a half drive away from the house, so I'm not nipping back to get it. But I say maybe I'll come tomorrow and bring it up with me then, just to try it, have a look, see how that fits. But there we go, tomorrow. But I shall start with the freshwater pump, getting that on, and perhaps this is a good place to cut over to the workshop and me sealing that freshwater pump. Leaking much. That's all dry around there, 100%. Here and here, we're leaking both of those. Rest of it's all dry. So I've got these, and I'm going to solder them together because that, as you can tell, isn't tapered. So just give them a little clean up. Bit of flux. Running down in there quite well. Looks good. Looks very good. So full. Good. That's sealed that. Very good. Dry. So this is that's the plunger, and that is the plunger or the piston from the pump. And this rod screws in, that's a lock nut, take that off. This rod screws in there, like he says, trying to do it with one hand, like that. You see, but unfortunately, I've managed to break that end of it, and there it is, that end of it off. So I've got a bit of stainless that's fractionally bigger, and I'm going to try and cut it to length and cut the threads on each end. So it's the same thread. And I've got this lovely little set of NF and NC taps and dies. Well, I say lovely, the die holder is clearly rubbish, but the rest of it's a nice little set. So give it a go. Should go onto there. Beautiful. Lovely, don't it?
Yeah, it's actually looks good though.
Where did that come from? Yeah, it's come out well. Quite well, and that screws into that.
Okay.
Like that. And then that's it. That's the whole shebang. And that's what pulls the thing up and down.
Right.
It slides down in there. Like that. This one, I'm going to grease that thread. Should be good. A couple of rubber seals in there, which I'm hoping will do the job. Now turn it up this way. Just hold that there. I'm going to strike a little bit through there. Oh, like that. Of course now everything's wet, so we can't tell if it's leaking or not. But let's see what happens. Just dry all that off as best we can. Just it's going to take a little while, I'm afraid. Just stay right there. I want to keep that up nice and high like that if possible. Keep a head of water in it. It's not running out of there, is it? It's not. Which is one of the places I'm pretty confident it was leaking. I think it looks very hopeful. Look at that anyway. That's on there. Like that. That's quite a bit of illumination in there. Can you see in there alright? Something like that, yeah. And then what about those rods? And they're going to need a bit of grease on them. Like that. Right, that's good. That goes on there, that goes on there, like that. Feels good. water pump in and the salt water pump out. So here's the trim tab, and this stainless shaft that the trim tab is mounted on is too short to reach to the top of the rudder, and it needs to reach to just above the top of the rudder. So I need to extend that, and I'm going to do that in this manner. Somewhere. It's going okay. It's going okay. Job, I think, on it. So what you'll notice is it's not straight, and I don't know what my chances of bending that straight are. It's at the bend, not enough I think. Okay, better. Precision engineering here. That's good. And this way. Yeah, that's straight. Pretty good, isn't it? That's pretty good. Obviously it's got a bit of flex in it anyhow. That's really very good. That's the bottom. Looks hopeful. Yeah, it's going to be that way around. Yeah, that's good. That is good. Good. here, through there. That should line up with that, through there. Alright, looks okay. Line that up again. And we should be able to put a nut on that lot and hold it all together. That looks good. That looks good. Nice. Yeah. That is a good bearing block. Happy with that. So here's the bearing block for the trim tab, POM material for the bearing itself, and then these straps are 6000 series aluminium, which is a seawater resistant aluminium, bolted together with stainless screws. So obviously we'll get some galvanic action between the stainless and the aluminium, and the plan to avoid that is to use this. I've got several of these plastic inserts which I've drilled out to the 8mm of the bolts, and the aluminium will be drilled out to the 10mm outside diameter. I'll just put a little bit of insert in there, a little bit of plastic insert in there, a bit of thin plastic under the washers, and that will insulate the stainless from the aluminium and should avoid the galvanic issue. But they've come out really well. I'm pleased with those. So, first try. And oh, it's perfect, absolutely perfect. So that will come down there like that, basically, won't it? I've got 3 of these, so no problem putting one up there. Maybe I only need 2, in fact. And I'm going to have to make something to go up higher up there where the rudder's wider. And one on the bottom. 2 will be fine above the waterline. But that works perfectly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it fits like a glove, doesn't it? It
It's,
just
yeah, exactly.
sits in there.
Stays there of its own accord.
Yeah,
Doesn't
not
need
even
any
drilled.
Yeah. Which means that the bottom bracket needs to slide on there. And actually, yeah, so, you know, clearly not that one exactly like that, but I was thinking about making fiberglass straps for the lower one. But anyhow, those are good. That's a good start. And you'll see I've sanded off quickly where the straps were. You can see that. And down here, sand that little patch off there, put a bit of rust killer on, and I'll build up VC tar on that. And other than that, she's looking really good. Really good. Just a tiny little bit of this, don't need much at all. Brush up there. Look at this. I think it's really good stuff.
So its job is to seal?
Yeah, absolutely. It's another sealer. But what I like about this is it dries a bit plastic.
Okay.
Whereas the other epoxies dry hard and are then a bit brittle around the edges. On the corner of the keel it's a little bit brittle when it's then stood on something, whereas this it stays plastic and it's ideal. Then it just sort of gives a little bit instead of cracking, you know. Not that it's cracked much, but this is just that much better, much more forgiving. Yeah, that's good. And then we're going to leave that alone under the boat, out of the rain for a little bit. Clear up the rest of that stuff. Come back, put a second coat on before we leave. And that's us done for there. Yeah, good. Cut. It's a fairly grey day, but it's always nice to get up to the waterside, isn't it? Travel lifts are all stationary, not much going on. And when if I turn around the whole way, you'll see quite a pretty little folk boat. And this is what the place looks like mainly these days, boats out on the hard. It's lovely, isn't it? I do like it.
This is kind of a double ender.
Is it a double ender?
He's got the name on the side.
Seems to be Dutch by the looks of that name. Aye. Has he got a home port on the back? He hasn't. It is a double ender, certainly. That's a grey day, Hazel, isn't
Can't see a thing.
And there we go. That's it for this week. We'll be pushing on, obviously going up to the boat a couple of times next week, certainly. Getting her ready for launch. Exciting times. Thank you for watching. As ever, a massive thank you to the lovely people who support us via Patreon and PayPal, who make these videos possible. I'll see you next time. Bye.